Hello there, welcome back to the final show of the year. This is the best of the year. I'll also say what I thought was the worst of the year, but that's going to be very brief because I'm not interested in that much. Just there's three films I'm just saying, like, these three really hated. But I should say there's some films I have not seen. There's a lot of films I have not seen that have not been released yet, but some people that Dion has seen. There's other ones are available, but I have not got around to them yet. I've not got around to Power the Dog, even though I really like Jim Campion. I've not got around to it. By the time it came out, I wasn't into. It was just the series film that just missed me seeing it because there was only so much time before Christmas. So I'll probably catch it in the new year at some point. I've not seen it yet. It comes out in streaming over here like in January, so I'll catch that then. But those are the two films I missed. Those are the two standout films I've missed. But there's plenty of films I've missed. But to be honest, I do not take end of the years that seriously because I know there's so much I've missed. It's like, some people do like the end of the years like years later and say I finally saw the good films of that year. I'm not interested in that because I'll cover the films I missed in videos as I go. It's not going to be a big deal. So these are all the films I've seen this year that were released this year in Britain that I've seen. These are the best ones, the mediocre ones, the worst ones. So I'll start off with the worst was Monster Hunter, Chaos Walking, and Jungle Cruise. Those three stood out as the worst, but Jungle Cruise especially, because it had no reason to be this bad, because it had talented actors, a talented director, writers who have done good stuff, and it was total trash. It was boring as hell. That's the biggest sin. It was boring. I mean, there are two films I really didn't like. Monster Hunters, I just thought was incompetently shot. I just thought it was terrible. I know someone Dimitri, who does like it, but I hated it. I hated the whole experience of watching it. Plus, it took a genre which I like, which is like the person stuck in a lifeless rock having to make good with someone else they can't stand. That storyline I adore usually, but the way they did this one I hated. So a special hate for me because of it screwed up something I thought was very hard to screw up. And Chaos Walking was insanity. But it's one of those films, I'm going to say it's one of the worst of the year, but out of those three, it's probably the one I'll probably watch most, because it's potentially interestingly odd. I'll need to see it again a few times probably, but I probably will. But yeah, that's a real disaster. I've already covered in a video. It's a real disaster, but it's something unusual. So there's that. Right. There was disappointments along the way, which was June, which I need to see again because I'm not sure if I was so focused on what the book and the lunch version. But I just found it kind of boring. But I'm going to watch it again when it comes out in digital and see what I feel. Because I like the director, so I don't want to really write it off so much, but it's definitely one that disappointed me in the first viewing. But I've only seen it once, so that one's one. My feelings of it could change, but it might not. There's Last Night in Soho. It had a lot of potential, but it didn't bring it together. It needed a lot of work in the script. It needed some real script work, And Awaken, the Terrence Malick produced documentary visual feast thing that I thought was very bland, and it was like, why was Malick involved in this? Because it was not up to anything standard what the stuff he does. So I was looking forward to that one. I was disappointed. You have to be looking forward to disappointments. These three I was looking forward to, and I didn't like. That's why they're disappointments, because I'm not saying they're terrible. I'm just saying I did not like them, and I was looking forward to them. I mean, there's some films that I enjoyed, like Batman The Long Halloween, and Halloween Kills, and Candyman 2021, Now I'm Really Dead. They were enjoyable. Forever Apart was fun. I enjoyed Demonic. I enjoyed Cop Shop, Free Guy, Werewolves Within. I don't have much to say about those. I enjoyed them. They were, a good time. They had problems, but they were a good time. I genuinely enjoyed watching them. There was some films I would call fun as hell. These are the ones that are kind of runners up. They did not make my top list, but we're into the stage with these ones, right? Is that they and the top list may evolve back and forward a little bit as I go through time, because these are the ones I really enjoyed. They didn't make the top list, but my view on them may change over time. Like, my view might say these are better than I remember them or seen them first. Just the same way some of the ones on the top list I may actually watch again and think, maybe not as good as I remember. But these ones I liked a lot. There's one or two especially I'll point out to that I especially think may go up in my estimation. Right, so for fun as hell, we've got the Beatles Get Back. I like the Beatles. I was really interested in the creative process of this. I've done a video on it, so I'm not going to go any further. There's Raging Fire, I did a video on. Excellent. It's coming out in Blu-ray in the new year. It's wonderful. Titan, it's one of the ones that may go up. I have to rewatched it. I heard a lot of great things from Dion and other people about how great it was. When I saw it, I'm not sure if it was overhyped or not, but I did enjoy it, but it had problems for me the first time out. But it may change as I go. Another one is Malignant, which another one that is, I thought it was wonderful. I really enjoyed it. That may go even further up my estimation when I see it again. But I had a whale of a time the first time out. It's my kind of film, so it's like one of the ones that I really, really enjoyed. There was Beyond Infinite 2 Minutes, which was good. Time travel movie. Didn't love it though, but I did enjoy it a lot. And it's one of those ones that it may go up in estimation. The Quiet Place Part 2, a lot of fun. I actually liked this one a little bit better than the first one. I liked the first one a lot. So that's one of the ones that it was a really solid horror movie. It really worked really nicely. I enjoyed these two films. I think they're a good, solid post-apocalyptic world type of movies. I really have fun with them. We've got Censor, which I covered in a video. It's very good. It's one I've only seen once so far, so I'm not quite sure of it. It didn't reach the top from the first viewings, but maybe in subsequent viewings, just rewatching it may actually improve. Who knows? It's just at the moment compared to some of the films on the top of my list. You know, they never quite reached that level the first viewing. Okay, there's Venom Let There Be Carnage, which I adored this film. It's really stupid. I've also got Spider-Man No Way Home on this list as fun as hell. Despite all the things I said about my video about it, it's still enjoyable for certain moments. But it's the one that could go down a bit even more. I'm going to say I preferred Venom to Spider-Man No Way Home, which is a very unusual point of view. But it's just, I liked it more. I just thought it was nice and silly. It was a nice, stupid film. Quite a few of these ones now are enjoyably stupid. Okay, there's Godzilla vs. Kong. I've seen this one about 3 times this year. I adore this film. I couldn't put in the top levels. I thought the films above it were better. But for the film I've probably watched most, it's this one. Just for enjoyment, it's probably this one. So far. There's Fast 9, another one I had a lot of fun with. It's stupid as hell. It's actually moronic. It's really moronic. I had a blast. I have a soft spot for the Fast films. They're really dumb. But what can I say? They take themselves too serious, but I still have fun with them. There's Old, which... Old's fun. I really enjoyed Old, despite its problems. It is one of the wacky Shyamalan films. The ones that are... Yeah, they're really odd and strange, but I would defend them. They're enjoyable. And there's No Time to Die, the new Bond film. I really had a lot of fun with this one. I don't think it's the best Bond film, but there's lots of good stuff in there. It's too long, but I really liked the Villain's Lair, which is full of all these poisonous creatures. It's very sci-fi and Ian Fleming. And I liked the kind of mood of it, the darkness of it. It just needed to be paced a bit better, ultimately. But it's still really enjoyable. It's one I'll be curious to see how I feel to rewatch it. Okay, now we're going to the top levels. The best films of the year. I'll do a kind of countdown. Like, I'll go from bottom to top of the list I made. But the top the top 7 pretty much are my top of the top. But I loved all of these films. Okay, there's Justice League Snyder Cut. I really like this one. They've butchered Whedon one. You could tell there's something interesting in the film, but it was just demolished. I am interested in the Snyderverse thing, where it's a depressing version of these worlds. I'm glad it's not the only version, though. I have a real soft spot for the more sentimental versions of these characters. But it's nice variation. I think this is the best Snyderverse film. All the characters have more time to breathe, and all in a better place. I think the emotions worked a lot better in this one. But there's a whole video I did with 2 idiots of this one, so I'd say go watch that. There's the Suicide Squad James Gunn film. Had a blast. This is probably the silliest movie on the top list, ultimately. Intentionally so, with Polka Dot Man and all the rest of it. I just found this one irresistible. This one is just so much fun. I really like James Gunn films. This is, there's been a lot of nice, silly films this year in the blockbuster stages. I mean, there hasn't been, I wouldn't say there's been, masterpieces, really. But there's a lot of really enjoyable ones. There's been lots of ones you can rewatch quite happily. And we'll see how they all turn out over time. But I've had a good time with some of them. There's been other ones. There's been a lot of really bad ones released too. But there's been a lot of, good, solid ones that, more than usual. Quite a lot of them have been kept back from last year because of the pandemic. But there's quite a lot of nice kind of blockbuster stuff out there. There's not much more on the list of recent films. The last one ultimately is The Matrix Resurrections, which I've talked about in a video recently. I won't go into here. I adored it. It was wonderful. It's all about evolution. It was really nicely done. Very underrated already. But a lot of people are coming around to it pretty quickly. There was a backlash almost instant against this film, and then people said, no, I like this. So I think it's finding its space. It's a film, it knows what it is, and you either like it or you don't, and that's it. It's a tough if you don't like it. I adored it. I mean, probably of the blockbusters, this is my favourite. But, Suicide Squad and Justice League and King Godzilla vs. Kong were all high up there too. We've got 2 Rurouni Kenshin films now. We've at the beginning and the final, which I adored. I watched all of these films in the series 4-5 this year. They were all excellent. These 2 were released this year, and I really liked the fact that they were very human, but also had some amazing action scenes in them. They really were something else. They're masterclasses in action, and you really feel for the characters, and these are just brilliant. I kind of covered them in videos. Go watch the video for the whole why I loved them, but these are great. If you've got Netflix, just watch them. They're so good. They're just amazing, and it's there's no way I wasn't putting them on my list. I haven't seen other people's lists actually, but they're so good. They're just so good. It's I think because of they're the 4th and 5th in a series, even though one's a prequel. It's almost like they've everything against them for being any list. They're kung fu movies, sword fights and everything else, but they are so good. Okay, now Prisoners of the Ghostland. This is the Sion Sono film. One of 2 on my top list. This is the lesser one. This is the most self-indulgent, weirder one. It's also one of 2 Nick Cage films in my list. This is so enjoyable. It is silly. It's as silly as Godzilla vs. Kong in lots of ways. But it is wonderful, and it does have this wonderful sense of post-apocalyptic world and what it means to live in this absurd world that has grown out of this disaster. It's just beautiful. I adore it. I don't care if you don't like it. If you don't like it, you're wrong. Is my final view on the subject. Okay. The ones we're going to now are genuinely even a higher level for me than what I've just talked about. These are the 7 films that I've actually adored most of this year. Easily. So, first one is Into the Earth, the Ben Wheatley film that was shot during the pandemic. It's wonderfully atmospheric. It's just so good. I've done a video on it. I would say go watch the video. It is just wonderful. I don't know how to even explain it without a full video because it's a simple like old fashioned end of the world thing mixed with supernatural, mixed with like mythology of old England. But it's none of that at the same time. Trying to say it's that gives you a weird impression. But it's so much more and so much order, and it's hard to describe, but it is just genuinely wonderful. So go see it. It is just so good. Then there's Benedetta, which I've done a video on recently. Paul Verhoeven's new film, a piss take of Catholic faith and manipulations of faith during the plague era, where no one can be truly trusted, especially a lead character. It's a Verhoeven film through and through. The film we need nowadays to break through all the bullshit of institutions and everyone's biases about institutions. This is all institutional debauchery during a plague, which we all may have had experience of the last 2 years. You know, it's the most timely film on the list. It's stunningly timely. Right, so and it is his wonder. It's pure Verhoeven. I adore Verhoeven. If you like Verhoeven, this one's definitely for you. He's not lost his touch. And it's a great triple bill, really, with Black Book and what was the one? Isabelle Huppert, Elle. He's been in a role recently with his films he's been making in Europe. He's just like, it's been one great film after another. Okay, now we've got The French Dispatch, the Wes Anderson film, Anthology. I saw it very recently. I adore it. It's one of my favourite Wes Anderson films. Even more after thinking about it over the last week or two after watching it and the video on it. It's stuck in my head. It's just beautiful. It's a wonderful film. I highly recommend it. But it's pure Wes Anderson. If you don't like Wes Anderson, you're not going to like this film. There's no concessions to the audience. It's just like, it's a certain kind of film, you like it or you don't. But it is an anthology. I love anthologies too, but it's done wonderfully. So, French Dispatch is great. Okay, now we have the Card Counter, the Paul Schrader film. Another great film from an old guy who's still knocking them out and still showing the young ones how to do themes and weird characters. You know, stars Oscar Isaac as a very Schrader-ish character who lives by himself, who's a card counter. He goes and does gambles for money all around the country. He's a lot of stuff in the past. I've done a whole video on it. Go see the video. It's a terrific film. It's a knockout ending. It's just brilliant through and through. It's not the top level Schrader of like Mishima or First Reformed, but it's so good. This is like, even Schrader, who's, when it's not your top 3 films, Schrader's still really good, even below his top 3. You know, it's like, he's really, when he's on form, he's something else. So, I've always been a big Schrader fan, so it's really nice to see him have a late career peak. Okay, now we have The Green Knight, another beautiful film. I was not expecting much from this one. I was hoping to be good, but I wasn't thinking, oh, this will be amazing. I'm just like, well, it looks interestingly odd. David Lowery directed it. Dev Patel starred in it. It's a more multicultural look at the Arthurian legends. Just the idea of, it was mainly white, but there was people from other countries coming to Britain as well, and married into power and things. It's wonderful. It's a great look at the myth, but it's a personal look at the myth. It's not trying to just be like the only verse of this story. It's like, it's a personal interpretation of it, which makes it wonderful. It's just beautiful. But I've only seen it once, so it's one of those films I really need to watch again. But first impressions, it was stunning. It's my kind of film. It's probably the closest we've ever got to Excalibur for a long time, or Lancelot de Lac, that kind of Arthurian legend done right with a personal touch. Doesn't have to be for everybody, it's just a personal touch of these legends, and treats them seriously, but treats them in the view of the director, or a director for a view of what these mean to him. So, it's beautiful. Okay, now we have the second Nicolas Cage
film on my top list, which is Pig, which is the Nicolas Cage going after his pig film that's been kidnapped. This is wonderful. It's nothing like the trailers make you expect. It's not a thriller. It's a character piece. It's beautiful. It's very episodic. It goes from character to character. It goes from Nicolas Cage interacting with different characters. He's not the most expressive character, but it's just the subtle interactions throughout that makes it really wonderful. You're either going to be on his wavelength or you're not. It's just that kind of film. You're going to know pretty early on if it's your kind of film or not, but it is beautiful. So that's basically my number 2. I can say it's my number 2 because my number 1 is actually head and shoulders number 1. You know, it's a step above all the others, which is Red Post and Escher Street, which is Sion Sono's film. It's stunning. It's hard to get hold of, but it's worth it if you can get hold of it. It is stunningly good film. It's a beautiful film about art and what art means to both the person who makes it and struggles with it and the people who actually have it affect their lives. And the healthy side, but also the kind of darker side of filmmaking, but where it leads to and the goods within tragedy, ultimately. It's just about art. It's just beautiful. It's very hard to explain because it's an experience film. It's the experience of watching it. Bizarrely, I'd see it and Matrix Resurrection make a great double bill. Because I think they've lots of ties in their DNA. So I'd definitely say they'd make a great double bill. But Red Post and Escher Street, go watch my video. I'll explain why I love it. It was my best film since about February, and it's like, and nothing's ever really knocked at it at all. It's like, it's pretty much, it's still going to be it. Because it is just so good. So, that's my list. Take it for what it's worth. I'm sure most of you disagree entirely and think, what? Who cares? We've all got our own lists. Just be yourself and just say ones you love the most, and who cares what anyone thinks. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. We're back next year with more videos, but that's me for the year. Right, bye.